TJ the Wheel Deal coming at you with a special edition of Wheelers. It's been a minute. I hope you guys are doing well. Sergio, welcome to the channel. Uzi Options, welcome to the channel. Thanks for helping me out. What's the goal today? The goal is to figure out what I got to do to reverse engineer. What's the goal? The goal is to make $1 million on Bmnr. That is the goal. So I was like, let me get together with some people that really know this game, and I want to see if I'm on track to do so. Because I've already got a position established on Bmnr, and I wanted to see if you guys could help me out with your positions, because I want to look at it with a different lens. I don't want to be, we all know Tom Lee's great. We don't need to do that. I can give you 3 or 4 other channels to go, and they'll tell you how fucking great he is. I think he's great too. I'm not going to do a whole video about it. I think that Ethereum is the wave of the future as far as the blockchain. Like I've been saying this since 2014 when I first got exposed to Bitcoin. I was like, well, Bitcoin's great, but what can you build on it? And I'm not a techie guy, so I'm not going to talk I'm going to stay in my lane. But every nerd that I've ever talked about, they're like, it's all about utility, and Ethereum has utility. Bitcoin really doesn't. And they talked about smart contracts and all this other shit that was way above my pay grade. That is not the podcast. This is not the podcast. Today is like, how can we actually make money off of this ticker Bmnr? I'm going to show y'all what I'm doing, and then I would definitely love to see what you guys are doing. And anybody that wants to click the link, if they want to let us know what they're doing with it, I want to see if I could structure a trade, if you will, that is going to yield $1 million, and then I want to reassess. Anyway, Sergio, let's start with you, my man. Tell us what's been going on. I have not been live public. I've been live, but only for the members. It's been well over a month, probably going on 2 months. And guys, it was a mental health thing. I felt like some of the shitty little comments were getting to me a little bit. And I was like, dude, we're already doing really, really well. We don't need this shit in our life.
Haters are going to hate, TJ. They always hate it when you shine,
yeah.
man.
Don't worry about the keyboard warriors, man.
Yeah, but the thing is for whatever reasons, I was in that mind space, and it was actually affecting me a little bit. And I was like, I got people that actually pay money to be part of this channel, like to help this channel. I was like, I'm going to devote all my energy to them. A, B, I really want to free up my mind space so I can finish this damn book, because I'm going to have a hard copy by the end of 2025. So it's getting close, and I was able to take that energy and put it into that. I'm actually going to be starting a book series with my members only, and it's going to be chapter 1 and show them everything that I have, and then we'll tweak it chapter 2 until I get through all 10 chapters, because right now I'm kind of at 10 chapters. So that's what's been going on with TJ. We just got back from California, an amazing time. I see Michael Wilder there. We met up with her. We met up with Steph Garcia. We were able to connect with Albert and his wife, with Carlos from Finance Junkies and his lovely family. I did not get to connect with Sergio. That is definitely one of my regrets on this trip. We'll definitely remedy and rectify that situation on the next one. Sergio, talk to me, my man. What's been going on with you? And then we'll get on with Uzi, and then we'll get into this thing. I'm going to show y'all what I got, and I'm open to all constructive criticisms, guys. I don't take anything personal. I'm always trying to get better at my craft.
Okay, so how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. So you said, how do we make $1 million, right? Why stop at $1 million? Now,
well, that's the goal before I reassess, right?
No, I get you. But my thing, okay, so I've been trading. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2020. Nice. I didn't buy any more after that. I'm a huge believer in Bitcoin. The reason is I have figured out years ago that the government does nothing but gaslight. The government is going to debase the currency. US dollar is toilet paper. And when they tell you there's 2-3% inflation, they're lying to you. There's not 2-3%. It's minimal of 5 to 8% a year. Just if you look at the dollar against other basket of currencies, this year is down about 10-11%. And the S&P 500 is about 12%. So the thing is, they're going to keep printing and spending and keep printing, and it's never going to stop. Musical chairs cannot end. And the antidote for that has been Bitcoin, or, and now lately Ethereum, right? Now, everybody knows it's finite asset. Gold, look what's happening to gold, right? 4,000. Stock market all-time highs. All asset classes are all-time highs. There is a reason for that. It's because of the money, the M2. If any of you are interested, you can Google M2, US M2, which is the money supply, and global M2. All countries are on a stimulus package at the moment. China going through the roof. That's why I was on you with you maybe a year ago. I was very bullish on China. And look what happened to some of those stocks. Now, Japan is going to be on a stimulus bender. U.S. is on a stimulus bender. Look, this is the way it's going to be. All asset classes are just going to keep going higher and higher. So that's one. Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Tom Lee, my hat's off. He's a goat, obviously. He got involved with BitMine. But there are others that I have been trading. Now, I personally don't want to pay something called a premium over what their net assets are. Now, I put out a video today. You guys can go check out on my channel. It was not timed for this because a lot of people, and I know Uzi is going to disagree and we're going to discuss it, but a lot of, my X feed, TJ, is full of Bmnr breaking out and wedges and chopsticks and MACD and this and that. I'm like, it doesn't make any difference. Bmnr is not going anywhere unless Ethereum goes higher, period. If Ethereum stays here at 4,200 or 4,300, whatever it is, Bmnr is just going to stay where it's at. Mm-hmm. It's net asset value, or the premium, which is called MNAV, multiple to net asset value, or market cap to net asset value, stands right about 1.5 at the moment. You can go buy Bmnr, or you can go just buy Ethereum and not pay that literally 50% premium. This was the same situation that was going on with strategy with Michael Saylor when he started this DAT. It's called Digital Asset Treasury with MicroStrategy. His MNAV was over 2.1, 2.2. Now, MicroStrategy MNAV is about 1.2. Last time Bitcoin was 124K. MicroStrategy or strategy was $450 a share.
Right.
123K. Strategy is at $320 a share.
Right.
So I don't want to pay a multiple over what their net assets are. So I did my research. I found two other companies. One is a Solana Treasury asset company, and one is the second largest Ethereum asset company. One is Sharplink Gaming. The symbol is SBET. And the Solana one is DFDV, DeFi Development. They're the largest Solana Treasury asset company. I've been trading those. I did trade Bmnr when it was literally under MNAV about a month and a half ago. And in fact, I texted you the trades I was putting on.
Right.
I'm heavily involved in SBET and DFDV because they are under 1 MNAV. That's almost like buying Ethereum at a discount. That's right. Almost buying $1 at 85 cents. So, and both companies, by the way, do a fantastic job. They have a dashboard. If you go Google SBET MNAV, it's going to kick out the company live dashboard, meaning it figures out MNAV. It gives you all the latest. Bmnr doesn't do it because they are so actively selling shares and diluting and buying Ethereum that they don't have one, unfortunately. But I know if you figure it out, approximately they're selling about 1.5 MNAV. So I'm heavily trading the other ones. Maybe one day Bmnr will get to 1-to-1 MNAV. And the point is, to me, I like buying things at a discount. I put on my trades accordingly. Some of them are directional. Some of them are defined risk downside. And, that's what I'm doing. But if Ethereum is going to go where Tom Lee is saying, 8,000 by the end of the year, 20,000 next year, of course, Bmnr is going to be, I don't know, 150, 200, whatever it's going to be, right? So that's what my mindset is that when it comes to this game just started. There are others, but you just stick to the best. Like if you're on BTC, stick with strategy. If you're on Ethereum, let's say stick with Bmnr and SBET. The other advantage now BMNR and SBET are going to have, and SBET is already doing this. Joe Lubin is the CEO, is one of the founders of Ethereum, actually. They're staking their Ethereum fully. In about a month and a half, they have earned about 4,500 ETH just by staking it. So that's what Tom Lee wants to do. He wants to get 5% of all outstanding ETH so he can start staking it, and it's going to create a massive amount of yield. So there are positives in all of this. But I just don't want to pay 1.5 times of what their net asset value is on BMNR. And last but not least, those lines that people, and my X feed being full of those charts, they go like in BMNR going to 80. BMNR is not going to go to 80 unless Ethereum goes to 6,000. Period. That's the math. So to me, if you want to make money, hodl, buy BMNR, close your eyes, don't worry about that 1.5. In fact, there was a short article yesterday put out by Kerrisdale Securities, which they're a bunch of bullshit artists, but they said the same thing I'm saying here. They're saying MNAV is going to get crushed, just like it's getting crushed with strategy. And they're saying don't pay the premium. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, but I've been saying that for a while. So I find myself these other gems that, to me, if I buy a treasury asset company at 0.85, 0.88 MNAV, 0.90 MNAV, then even if Ethereum goes down 10%, let's say, these stocks are not going to react. In fact, if you look at BMNR over the last week, when Ethereum got up to 4,600, I think it got up to 4,700, it was at $65 a share. Today's low is $56 a share, $9 lower. Okay. That's about 15%, 14%. Well, Ethereum pulled back from 4,700 to 4,300. That's about 11, 12%. So to me, if Ethereum goes, BMNR, SBET, all of these are going to explode. But if Ethereum doesn't go, now what you're doing, which I saw your position on X, you own the shares, you have some cover calls, right? Way out there to November. Yeah, you're going to create yourself a ridiculous amount of yield. So for you, BMNR doesn't have to go anywhere. But then if Ethereum explodes to 6,000, shit happens in a week or two, then, you're going to be in the money. Then you have to do the rolling thing and all that stuff, right? So look, if you believe Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be much higher over the next year, just hodl. Just buy BMNR and hold. Just buy MSTR and hold. Just buy SBET and hold, because they're all going to be much, much, much higher.
Awesome. Let's turn it over to Uzi. Uzi, first of all, I haven't connected with you in a while. We were doing the technicals on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but I stopped going live for the general public until I finished the book. When I finish the book, and then we'll talk about going live at least one time a week, public, and then I'm gonna. My wife really thinks that it makes a difference. Me just doing the members only. She just thinks that I'm like in a real positive space because there's nobody to fight with or anything like that. And so she likes this version of TJ the Wheel Deal better. So I don't know that I'm going to be like 100% public channel ever again, unless I get Mama's blessing and she's large and in charge, or tiny, if you will, because she's not very big. Talk to me, Uzi. How you been, my man?
Hey man, with all that said, that's no big deal. I hear you, and you got to take care of that number one person in your life, and also if you're not getting the positive vibes from the people that you're actually out there helping every week, then you got to cut it back, man, because there's no reason to put yourself into that situation. I totally get it, but I'm good, man. I've been real busy trading, and we're doing well, and hanging in there with this market. I mean, it's funny because as much as you would think it's going to keep going up, we're ready and due for a pullback, and it'll be a healthy thing. It's not going to be like a collapse or a crash, but I'm looking and hopeful for just a regular pullback, so we can get into some of these things that have potential to keep going up. But how can you buy these things when they've been almost everything is elevated right now? So from that perspective, I'm trading. I still trade mainly non-directionally, but I've been taking advantage of these moves that are going haywire higher. And with that said, I'm just, cutting back on the amount of, let's say, heavy positions on premium selling, because with IV so low and the VIX so low, it's a recipe for disaster in case we do get that 2-3% down day across all asset classes. And then what's going to happen is IV is going to shoot up, and all the things you sold puts on or premium on is going to be underwater, and then you'll be fighting for survival on those positions, and that's not the way I like to trade. So just treading water, but definitely making enough profits to pad the account, doing real well. And yeah, man, just looking forward to I really would like to see all things pull back just a little bit so we can get a healthy, just a healthy correction, because it's going to come. I'd rather get a nice healthy correction instead of just this thing melting higher, and then we get the blow off top, and then it could be years, right? A year, 2, 3, 4, 5 for things to really, normalize again. But
Boozy, stonks only go up, Boozy. Stonks only go up. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And listen, again, I'm not trying to turn this thing to a negative, but I just know this. Everyone I talk to now is like, oh my God, this is people that have work boots on, or they drive for a living, or whatever it is. Everyone's trading and everyone's making money. And it's like, how long can that go on? So anyway, I'm doing good though. The market's doing good. We're all doing good. I'm glad to hear you're doing good, Serge. I know TJ's, you're doing good. And look, I don't have a head for Bitcoin, to be honest with you guys. I'm just a trader, so I'm not a fundamentalist. And from what I heard you say, Serge, hey, and kudos to you. You sound very intelligent with all those comments. So that sounds like a fundamental standpoint. And I look at it like this. I look at this probably 3 different ways you can trade, or maybe 4, or invest. So it's either you're going to be a fundamental trader, you're going to be a gut trader, a technical trader, or just a average in, dollar cost average in type of a trader or investor. That's the way I see it, in my opinion. But I'm not a fundamentalist. I've never been that. And while that works, right, it does work. If you're a Warren Buffett type guy, he's the richest guy in the world from trading and investing, and he's a fundamental guy. And there also are some very wealthy technical guys. Now, I've just chosen the technical path. And whether a stock has a lot of history or a little history, I do agree with, let's say, like IPOs and such. You don't have a lot of history to go on. But once you do have a little bit of history out there, stocks are like human beings, and from the way I see it, and they have tendencies and they have emotions, and not that they have emotions, they have habits, or they have, well, I shouldn't say that. What we see on the chart is the reflection of all the trading and investing emotions that are present in traders and investors around the world. So it comes out in the chart, and that always repeats itself, because fear and greed is something we all fight with. So that usually shows up in the charts, and then that's what I trade off of. I trade off of the technicals that I use and see, and basically it's how I make my bones. And I live and die by that. And I do like to bring in every now and then, if I'm really trying to build a big position and build a real good solid case, I will then go, once my technicals line up, I want to make sure that, hey, are these fundamentals lining up too, to make sure I can feel comfortable going in heavy. But if I'm looking for a cash grab, or if I'm looking for a trade for the Discord, it's not so much of a fundamental thing. It's really a technical trade, and we're doing well. Most of the guys in the Discord are all on all-time highs in their accounts. And yes, the market has something to do with that. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, as you should be, right? I mean, if your account is not an ATH, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Now, I'm not a fundamentalist. I would like to understand fundamentals, right? I can read the charts with the best of them, but to me, like, let's say what's happening with some of these quantum computing stocks and things like that, right? I mean, look, fundamentals have to come into play at some point. I understand trees don't grow to the sky, but the point I'm trying to make is, when it comes to crypto and these DATs, digital asset treasury companies, you kind of have to understand the fundamentals a little bit, just instead of just looking at the chart and looking at RSI or MACD or something else, or whatever not. Because it truly, so I have this analogy. So if you look at BMNR is the tail. The dog is ETH. Now, in our regular markets with 0 DTs trading 40 million contracts a day, they literally are the tail, but they're moving the markets. They literally are. The exposure is moving the markets. But when it comes to BMNR, I don't want people to just step into something just because Tom Lee's in it. understand what it is, understand what the future may hold, and that's fundamentals, obviously. And ultimately, as you do charts, fundamentals are reflected in the chart, right? I mean, this is not a regular company. This is not AMD. This is not NVIDIA. This is not, Google. Earnings don't matter. All it matters is how much ETH they're holding and what kind of premium they should sell to their holdings. And to kind of just draw lines and look at it, to me is like, okay, you can see the pressure, you can see the volume coming in, you can see all that stuff on the technicals. I get it. But I think unless ETH moves higher, now I would have no problem people drawing lines or doing some technical analysis on ETH. If Ethereum is going to do what it's supposed to do, breakout happens, goes over 5,000, quick step to 6,000, then of course, then go step on Bmnr, SBET, or whatever you're going to step on, and make your trade, either short term, long term, or whatever. But unless you're bullish on Bmnr, all I'm saying is don't buy something because you think Tom Lee is doing it. Tom Lee cannot control what happens to ETH. He just can't. I mean, with all that buying, Ethereum is actually corrected $400 over the last. And Tom Lee is buying 180, 200,000 ETH every single day because the ATM machines are on. He's selling issues. He's selling stock at the market sales and buying Ethereum immediately. Now, all I'm saying is buyer beware. Understand what you're doing. Of course, actually, I call myself a techno-fundamentalist. Like I understand technicals very well, but I also want to understand what the fundamentals are. So, TJ, that's when I looked into SBET. That's when I looked into DFDV, because I go, okay, the fundamentals are the same. They're doing the same thing. Why is one selling at 1.5 MNAV and the other one is selling at 0.85 MNAV? They're doing exactly the same thing. Why? Which one would I buy? Well, I'd rather buy the one on discount than anything else. And actually, it turned out that was the right call to do, because both of them moved up to 1 MNAV without ETH moving. Actually, ETH moved down and SBET moved up. So my thing is, I want to buy the best deal. I do believe ETH is going higher. I do believe BTC is going higher. I do believe all of them are going higher. But just to, look at some, breakouts and things like that, it's not going to happen by itself. And all I'm saying is I'm bullish. I believe in ETH. I believe in BTC and Solana. Those three. Find the best horses for yourself and stick to it. If you're a DCA specialist, I would just DCA. Don't sell options. Don't do any of that stuff. If you want to buy it cheaper, do some wheeling, whatever it is, sell some puts or whatever. Not because the premiums are ridiculous. They're there.
Right.
They're there to be taken advantage of, right?
But real quickly, you're mentioning Tom Lee. Like I think that Tesla carries, and maybe my line of thought is wrong, perhaps, right? I'm not the guy that ever professes to know everything or anything like that. I just feel like I'm good at selling options. Like that's what I know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty good at picking underlines to sell options on, because you can anybody can sell options, but you got to pick the right horse, right? And you got to learn how to jockey that horse. But let's talk about Tom Lee for just 1 second, because I said this wasn't going to be a Tom Lee circle jerk. But I feel like Elon Musk, have these little Tesla pillows there that I bought for the car. They suck for the car, so they're my dog pillows now. and I got one that I use here for my lumbar support for my back on my chair. But I feel like Tesla has this big multiple because Elon Musk is at the helm. Is that pretty fair to say?
Yeah.
So I feel like Bmnr is probably going to carry a multiple, maybe not Elon Musk type, but I think that you got to put a little bit of a premium just because Tom Lee is Tom Lee. And since I've been really following the market since about 2014, give or take, there was only a period of about 6 to 9 months where Tom Lee was talking about a turnaround, and he'd have to go on CNBC and be like, I got egg on my face right now. So in other words, what I'm saying is the guy's been right. So I wonder if the market puts a multiple on the fact that Tom Lee's the chairman and not, Bruce Lee, if you will.
Look, there is a point to that, obviously, and the guy has been right. I mean, you can't question Tom Lee, right? He's been right on the market. He's been right on what fiscal policy looks like, on interest rates. He's been pretty much right on everything, and I don't think it should be a 50% premium. No, maybe 1.2, whatever. But you guys have to understand something. It was the same story with Michael Saylor last year when he was doing the same thing with BTC, right? At some point, strategy got to $560-$70 a share, right? And at that time, actually, BTC was only 80,000. Now we're at 120,000, and strategy is down probably like 50% or 40%. What I'm saying is that this premium that let's call it the Tom Lee premium, right? I don't think it's 1.5. Now, what's going to happen is that even on a minuscule basis, if that MNAV comes down to 1.3 from 1.5, Bmnr is going to get hurt again and again. This all depends on what the underlying is going to do. The underlying is ETH. If ETH breaks out and goes to 6,000, Bmnr will be at $80. It's pretty simple. You take the outstanding shares, you take the ETH that they're holding, multiply by the ETH price, take the share count, multiply by the share price, and then you can see and apply a 1.5, right, multiplier on it, and you're going to get to a price on Bmnr. I'm just warning people that don't just go buy it because it's Tom Lee. Yes, Tom Lee is great. He deserves a premium or whatever not. But the same thing happened with Michael Saylor and MSTR. And I just don't want people to get hurt by blindly buying because it's Tom Lee. Again and again, I'm bullish. I'm not bearish. I think they're going to go a lot higher on the longer term. But if you're a short-term trader, look, there's two ways of looking at this. You're either an investor or you're a trader or you're both. Personally, I have an investment account and I have a trading account. In my trading account, I want to hit it out of the park. In my investment account, I'm happy. I'm happy with 30-40% returns. I have looked so much deeper on this that's what the problem is. I think I've looked at it deeper. So what did you say? I have to look deeper. And their growth strategies, cash reserve. No, they're not. I would like you to come on and explain that to me. No, not necessarily. I don't think that's correct whatsoever. But that's okay. Tom Lee is doing what he should be doing. He's doing ATM sales every single day, and he's buying ETH. Period. No ifs, no buts. He's taking advantage of the premium. The other two companies actually that I'm involved in, SBET and DFDV, now they're buying shares back. They bought millions of shares back because that's how they're growing their ETH. Because since they're not above 1 MNAV, they cannot do ATM sales. Because if you do ATM sales below 1 MNAV, it's like eating your own flesh. You don't do it. So these companies have both ways. They're going at it both ways. The ones under MNAV, if they have the cash, they're buying their shares back and, extending the ETH count or Solana count for their shareholders. I mean, look, there's many ways of skinning the cat. All there is to it is I'm bullish. I think they're going to go a lot higher, because the fundamental reason is the government is going to do what they're going to do. They're going to debase the currency. They're going to devalue the dollar. And the only saving grace is this. And Tom Lee also has very different ideas about, he's thinking Wall Street, every transaction on Wall Street is going to be on the Ethereum network.
Right.
That's where the deal is at. It's not, Ethereum is not going to go up because of that. It's because of the, usage of Ethereum. And I agree with them. Why have a middleman? Why do we need a middleman? Just put everything on the network and be safe, secure. So,
Well, let's get into it, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm pulling up the position here, and we could dissect it. And then what I would like Uzi to do, if you want to get your technicals ready, I would like to do a technical analysis, if you could, Uzi, on Bmnr and compare it to Ethereum, because I think that I haven't done that. Like, first of all, I have not done that. Like, I literally just was like, and let me get premium drunk a little bit with this thing, and let me bring in $100,000 of premium real quickly, and so I can get reimbursed for buying the shares, right? And then I'm going to do that again 2 or 3 times over, and then I'm really going to like strategize. But like initially, I was like, I think I can go grab $250,000 in premium if this thing just stays at these levels for a little bit, and I'm kind of happy with that. The share price appreciation, I feel like that'll definitely come down the road. But let me show the position here, Uzi, and if you want to get your deal ready over there, my man, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, sir. Reed. Yes,
I've got my TV in the background so I can make sure I'm showing the right stuff. There's a 10-second lag. So, okay, I see it over there. So we're good. So let me walk y'all through just this particular position. This isn't going to be portfolio update time. That's for members only stuff right now. So we're just focused right here on Bmnr. So right now, Bmnr closed at 59.18 according to Tasty Trade. So if I look at the actual position, it's 30,000 shares. The trade price is 57.53. So that's what was paid for the shares. They're currently going, or here it says the mark is 59.53. So you can see that it's a pretty substantial investment. You can just multiply 30,000 times 57.53, and that's what we have in the shares, up on the shares collectively at 59,000. If you just read this all the way to the right, you'll get to profit and loss year to date, and it's $145,000 on Bmnr so far. And I've got 2 open strategies. I've got cover calls for next Friday on 20,000 of those shares at 70. So just real basic. A cover call is just an agreement to sell shares at on a certain day at a certain price. So essentially, if I don't want to mess with this contract, I am contractually obligated to deliver 20,000 shares of Bmnr at $70. It is just really that simple. And I am not wanting to do a bunch of rolling. I'm okay having stuff called away. I could sell puts. I could buy the shares again and do it all over again. But I don't want to get stuck in the rolling never land, because I feel like this is one of those stocks that could just run away from you quickly. And sometimes you just got to take your medicine. And in this case, it bought the shares at an average cost of $57.53, got paid, $20,000 or so in premiums to do so, to agree to sell them at 70, and they're forcing you to take $12 profit, $13 profit on 20,000 shares, and you've only had those shares for about a week and a half to 2. There's worse things in life. You know what I mean? Like go crying your Ferrari. And then this one here, I did try the rolling game. I sold calls at like 55, 56, 57. I rolled. And in fact, it'll tell you here, if I put this on order chain, you'll see here that there's 2 rolls attached to this right here. So I caught myself and I'm like, I ain't doing that anymore. I'm just going to go buy the shares again. So initially I had 10,000 shares. And the cool thing about Tasty Trade is it actually tells you everything that you've done. If I could pull it up right here. So it gives you all the trades there. So, it shows everything that I bought, everything I've sold. So y'all can just screenshot that. We're not going to spend too much time here. You can screenshot that and you can dissect it after the fact. So it's all there. But essentially where we ended up was 30,000 shares at a 57.50 average, 57.53. And I've got 20,000 of those shares for sale at, let me just minimize all these guys and focus on this one. So I've got 20,000 of the shares for sale at $70 for next Friday. And for the first Friday in November, or the first week ending in November, on the 29 days from now, November the 7th, I've got 10,000 of those shares at $62 per sale. And in my mind, those shares are already gone. I fully expect Bmnr to be above $62, but I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of energy rolling those shares. I'm just going to be like, let me lock in the win and live to fight another day. So that is the position in a nutshell. Uzi, I want to turn it over to you. If you're already set up with your stuff here, I'll stop sharing the screen.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I can share my screen now and then start rolling. Let's do that.
Awesome. And I'm going to add Jesse Corum to the chat. He joined here. Let's just say hi to Jesse real quickly. How are you, Jesse?
I'm well, man. How's it going, TJ?
Dude, I'm doing well. I don't like to complain much. Nobody likes a whiner. They like winners. So get rid of the age and you'll be okay.
and the blue skies. Blue skies.
And I got my Dallas Cowboys cap on because I'm a hopeful. You know, this is our year since 1996. This is our year, okay?
Best of luck. Best of luck.
Hey, I'm smiling loud and proud in case y'all don't know. Y'all see that I don't have a gap no more. The implant happened several months ago, and I finally got a crown now. So the wife's real happy too that I'm not sporting a window everywhere we go.
The window was nice though, Jesse.
Dude, I was like getting some fresh air, man.
Fresh air, man. Nice breeze. Nice to meet you, Jesse. How are you?
I'm well.
Okay, Uzi, I don't know where I'm supposed to be
I got you.
I'm trying to find you here.
So
I see this right here. Is that you?
That's it.
Awesome. So let's look at it. So what are we looking at? What is this? What is all this abracadabra hocus pocus? Walk us through it.
All right. This is the voodoo that drives people like Serge crazy. So Serge, if you want to step off and go to get a drink of water, that's fine by me. But here's what I'm seeing, TJ. So first and foremost, okay.
I think Sergio actually got frozen now.
Okay. Well, then sorry.
I'm trying to see if there's a way.
He's going to on this technical analysis then.
Yeah, I'm actually trying. Oh, here we go. I'm going to remove the comments from the stage, guys. That way we can. It doesn't disrupt what people are trying to see. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the daily chart of Bmnr, and as we can all see, there isn't a lot of history because it hasn't been trading long, and this is as far back as I can actually go with Think or Swim. But this is all we really need to see anyway. It came to life over here. Okay, we see that it made a ridiculous high print. Now again, I haven't been involved in the whole praise of all these different Bitcoin names, so excuse me if I'm wrong, but did this print really 161 a couple of days after it came out? Because if it did, that's its all-time high, 161. It came back all the way down because a lot of IPOs get run up and then they come running down. But now we've got some history of it trading, and this history, like I said earlier, is basically all of the emotions from the people that are trading it. The greedy people, the greedy investors took it all the way up. Fear got them all the way out. And now what we're seeing is the traders that are either longer term oriented, or the bottom fishers, or the people that, or are averaging down, dollar cost averaging, because they bought all the way up here. Anyway, what we've got now is an area where people feel safe to start to buy again in this area right here. And this is around, let's say, August. So around beginning of August, it starts to, let's say, level out or not go any lower. We see these red lines, okay, that light up as I highlight them. Those are what's called Bmnr bands. Now, right. John Bmnr is a technical analyst from way back when. I was watching him and learning from him back in the 90s, and he created this particular indicator. And what it does is it follows price movement, but it generally it shows that when price is moving, price never usually moves outside of a certain standard deviation. So that's what these lines.
But is the Bmnr band following the 20-day moving average?
Well, that's the middle line. Good question, right. TJ. The middle one is basically it's the 20-day moving average, and then these are each a two standard deviations away. Yes. Okay. Now, price generally 95% of the time stays within the 2 standard deviation confines. So when we see though the price coming in like this and these Bollinger Bands getting tight, usually that indicates that price is getting ready and getting very tight. It's about to make a move based on John Bollinger's theories. Now, that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I am just going to say though is this is where value players, if you want to call them that, or at least traders that wanted to get in with some type of size, because it takes a lot to stop a falling knife. Right. So they started to step in, and everyone started to feel like the water was getting warm again. And so they drove it up until it reached a point where it hit some type of resistance. There were some people that were maybe averaging in here and wanted to get out because they were getting maybe break even here. You got to remember, when people are in from up here and the stock price drops like it does, there's one thing on their mind, like we've all been in, right? Just get me out of this thing at a less of a loss, right? So if they bought more here, they're getting out at a lesser loss here. So again, what I'm trying to say is, though, it stopped going up for whatever reasons. If I just do a quick Fibonacci test on this, on about where it stopped, because what you will find is on heavily traded issues that, let's say, I don't know.
Can I stop you for 1 second, Lucy?
Yeah.
Because admittedly, this is the first time I'm looking at a Bmnr chart.
Okay.
So if I go all the way back to where the little pencil is right here, and I don't know what date that is, 7/18 maybe? June, right here, right where there's a big green candle and then two, I don't know, is this a weekly chart or a monthly?
Oh, this is a daily. This one right here, TJ, the big one?
Yeah, and then look at the big red one.
Okay, right there.
Yeah, and then after that, just eyeballing it, hasn't this thing just been consolidating since whatever date that is? So what exactly is all the fuss about? Where like I see these crazy price predictions that Bmnr to 100, Bmnr to this, Bmnr to that. It seems like it really hasn't done a whole lot of anything unless my eyes deceive me. I don't have my glasses on. I could go put my glasses on, but I'm seeing a pretty tight range here.
71 to about 40 from, let's say, this swing high to about, well, if you want to count this swing low here, about 30, let's call it 30 and 70. So between 30 and 70 is, let's say, where this has been bouncing up and down, but it's getting
but that's actually a wide range. It just doesn't look that wide there. There we go. That makes a little more sense.
I constricted it just so we can see how high this thing has been. I'm going to definitely expand.
But just for context, if you widen it, that makes that, now I see the volatility.
But even then, this, so there's a lot of different ways I can try to describe this. If you take a rubber ball, and you bounce it, and you throw it on the ground like this, boom, this comes down, right? It bounces, right? So it bounces up and it bounces down. And soon enough, that is going to run out of what's called kinetic energy, right? The ball will stop bouncing. So this is just basically a ball that's been bouncing, and it's going to stop bouncing. And when I say bouncing, I mean gyrating up and down. But what it's doing in the process is, if you notice these Bmnr bands again, they're getting very, very tight. And from what John Bmnr always preached, and from what I do follow with Bmnr bands, once they get very, very tight, okay, that indicates that the constriction is getting too tight, that price is going to break one way or the other. Now, we are in the midst of a medium-term uptrend. And how do I know that? Well, we've got a series of higher highs. And just let me know, TJ, if you guys can see this. This I draw it. Can you see this yellow line here? Okay.
Yeah.
I see it. Okay. So we have this low, which was the swing low after the IPO. Then we have a higher low, because we can see that this low is higher than this low. Then we have another higher low. So this indicates an uptrend. Now, uptrends are connected via what's called a trend line. And again, if you don't believe in this stuff, that's fine. But trend lines, they work, and they work a lot. And what I'm trying to say is now, once you have two definite touch points, you have a trend line. But now we have three, don't we? And isn't it funny for those people looking at this for the first time, let's say a chart with trend lines, we had no idea that this area was going to touch it again, right? All we had was this touch point and this touch point to get the trend line going. But look, lo and behold, price adhered to that same touch point and bounced up. Now, if you notice what's going on here, price is pulling back in these past 3 days.
About to touch it again, it feels like.
It's trying to, right, good point, TJ, and good eyes. It's trying to touch it. But what's happening, it looks like to me, again, I don't look at Bmnr and NR a lot either, but just looking at it with you guys almost like a virgin here, it didn't get there. And why didn't it get there? Well, it's got a hell of a lot of support from this blue line lighting up, which is my 8-period EMA, which is the exponential moving average. So that tells me that Bmnr is so strong that it can't even get back to that trend line just yet. It's being supported by the 8 EMA. It's being supported by the middle Bmnr band. And if you look a little bit below that, let me enlarge it. We've got this pink, purple, fuchsia, whatever color you want to call that. That's the 21 EMA supporting it as well. So BMR technically is super strong. It's getting tightly bound up. So Bollinger Band theory indicates this is going to make a move imminently. I don't know when, right? But imminently, it's getting tight. It's going to make a move, and the trend is up. So to me, I would be longing this however you want to long it that feels good for your account. Now, not only do we have an ascending trend line, because a trend line that's going up is called ascending. We have an ascending triangle. Now, these are some of the most powerful technical patterns that you can really get.
So to get that wedge, it's like a funnel. It has to squirt out one way or the other, right?
Correct. And being that we have an obvious, and I say obvious only because the people that are looking at this and understand, let's say, technicals at all, you can see it's going higher. Okay, it's getting real tight every time it gets to the upside. It comes back down, and what's going to happen is usually it gets like this, and then it makes its break. Now, the good news for us is if you miss the break, typically, I don't know what the percentage is, doesn't matter. They do a pullback retest. It's called. It might come all the way back. It might come just a little bit back like this, but then it starts to take off and makes its monster move. Now, given that, let me just erase that. Now, given the fact that we don't have a lot of history to the left aside from this pivot point here, once it breaks over this top of this candle here, which is about 71.74, then there's really nothing up above to stop it, because while it's not what's called blue skies, meaning no overhead resistance, once it gets over this, I believe that anyone who is stuck from, let's say, let me just draw it out with a quick little line. Anyone stuck from buying it here, okay, once they see it break here, if they look at technicals at all, or if they're just watching, maybe not even technicals, maybe they're just checking their stock price every day, and they start to see it's getting, let's say, this close, and then this close, and this close, they're going to hold on for dear life to say, hey, now I'm going to try to make money on this thing. Down here, they're averaging in, and then hoping to get out maybe around here, break even. And once it gets past here and they start to see the numbers get into the 80s, which is where that price level would be, a little bit higher than that, you're probably going to hold on. So there's not going to be as much resistance, I believe, up in this area here. The majority of the resistance, and that's why you see it having so much trouble getting above this level, is because once it breaks this level, it is gone. And then you can see the potential for getting up to that 140 area to retest, the high of this candle. And then if it gets a lot of mojo, we can see it get up to that 160 area. But that's just looking at it from the pattern perspective, without even looking at the RSI. The RSI right here, which is the relative strength index, is nowhere near even overbought, even though we are in an uptrend, and it's been heading up.
It's neutral.
It's neutral. Exactly, TJ. It's a 57. So anywhere between 30 and 70 is considered, well, not neutral, but on the low end it's a little bit more oversold. On the high end it's a little more overbought. But right at 57, this thing can really break out and keep running before it would get into the overbought territory, which is anywhere over 70. Some traders look at over 80. I look at over 70. So not only on a technical area, like in the chart and the pattern, it can break out and start running, and we'd be nowhere near overbought, even though it is trending and getting tight. The MACD is healthy too, because it's above the 0 line, which is the purple line again. That usually indicates a lot of strength because you're above the 50-day moving average. We've had a recent bullish cross over here, which is the blue line crossing over the signal line. So MACD is all healthy. RSI is healthy. The pattern, the main pattern is the ascending triangle. Okay. And then if we do look at the weekly, and this is where it gets nice too. Now, even though there isn't, I'm going to have to just do this for a second. Even though there isn't a lot of history, and let me just remove these lines. We can see, or I see, and maybe you'll be able to see it too when I just spread this out a little bit. And that's the problem with not much history. I have to try to expand it as best I can. All right, give me one sec. Okay. Now, by the way, this red and yellow, red and green line is the weekly expected move. So that's what this is. This is not trend lines or anything like that. This is the expected move for this week that we're in. And by the way, this is this week that we're in, these 4 days. And look how price is staying right within the expected move based on implied volatility. But what I'm seeing is what I would call a mini cup and handle right here. We've got the cup and we're getting the handle now. And especially on a weekly chart, which is even more powerful than on a daily chart. But when they're on the weekly chart, again, this is indicative of higher prices. One of the most bullish patterns, aside from the ascending triangle, is the cup and handle. So we're on about the first week of it trying to break out of this handle. So any time within the next few weeks, it could be go time with this thing to the long side. Now, this could come with the fundamental side of things with whatever happens in Bitcoin land. Again, I don't follow all that.
Ethereum.
Yeah. Can I ask Uzi a question?
Of course.
Okay, Uzi. So will any of this happen if Ethereum doesn't move up? Will Bmnr break out by itself?
Well, I'm not a fundamental guy, so I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
No, not about the fundamentals. Do you have an Ethereum chart on your in your computer?
Yeah, you just type it in.
Or can you like superimpose, Bmnr on top of
it? Isn't ETH the trust on it? Is that good?
Yeah, ETHA is the ETF. Yeah.
Well, I got them all. Which one would you prefer?
Whatever you have.
ETH versus Bmnr, because Bmnr is a Ethereum treasury, right? Or
yeah.
GATS. What is it called?
So
GATS?
If this is the dog, if this is the tail,
ETHA is the 2x ETF. So for people who are watching, this moves point for point, penny for penny with the ETH price live. So it's just like IBIT for Bitcoin. This is for Ethereum.
Okay, well, tell you what, whatever you guys, because again, I can look at any chart and tell you what I think. If you guys want to look at ETH that or ETHA, they're kind of the same.
No, ETHA is fine.
Okay.
And then now let's if you can do a
split able
screen.
To overlay Bmnr with it, because then we'll see a correlation, right?
Yeah.
So Bmnr is trying to acquire Ethereum as they go up to 5% is what I've heard, right?
Uh-huh.
So they're not there yet. I think they're at 2 or 3%. Tanner's following this on his channel.
Right.
So I mean, they're trying to acquire Ethereum as fast as they can. So you got to look at the bigger picture. Like, they're buying up Ethereum faster than anybody else can at this point. Faster than you and I can.
That. Everybody knows that.
Okay.
Already. What I'm saying is Ethereum price rules. If Ethereum does not move up, Bmnr is not going to move up. Period.
I mean, but they're gonna start staking it.
The same thing happened with Michael Saylor. Okay.
Okay.
He was buying
it.
Buying it. He wanted to get to 1 million BTC. He's almost there.
Right.
Look, it's the same thing. I'm bullish, but I'm saying you cannot just do a technical analysis.
But I think there's one fundamental, and I'm more of a fundamentalist.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a tech guy. These charts confuse me.
No, but what I'm saying is there's something fundamental that I think people need to understand is I don't think that MicroStrategy, and again, I barely just recently started going down the rabbit hole of MicroStrategy, and I recently put on a strangle, is I think the guy is like legit onto something after studying, looking at this shit for like a year and looking at it's like kind of like the guy at the back of the class. And I was kind of like, this is crazy. And I started moving up a row and a row and a row. Now I'm like at the front of the class trying to understand what the hell the teacher's really saying. That's where I'm at with MicroStrategy. But where I haven't gotten yet with MicroStrategy is how do they make money? Because they're not going to sell Bitcoin ever. They're going to dilute to buy Bitcoin, dilute to buy Bitcoin, dilute to buy Bitcoin.
Right.
Like, how do you actually make money? Whereas where I landed on Bmnr and that got me very excited is there's this whole other side hustle called staking Bitcoin or staking Ethereum that could potentially yield about $300 million per year.
Right.
So there's now that's like icing on the cake, right? That's like the cherry on top that MicroStrategy doesn't have. And then on top of you have if you believe in all this shit with the tokenization and even real estate being on the blockchain, the government going to the blockchain, Wall Street going to the blockchain, all that other shit. If you believe that to be true, and you add the 300 million or whatever they're anticipating that they could get whenever they acquire this 5%, the alchemy of 5%, right? Because alchemy is like a fucking chemistry project. So the alchemy of 5%, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I'm smart enough to try to figure all that shit on my own. I don't think Tanner is either. We put data investings on there, and I'd believe a little bit more. These are the smartest guy on YouTube that I've seen.
So if I may interject one thing. So for the people, let's say, that are fundamentalists or that look at the machinations that go on behind the scenes, like Sergio sounds like he knows what's going on between the back end of what they do, and that's fine. I don't understand all that. But let me ask you guys a question. So here's Bitcoin. Here's the proxy for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up, right? Bitcoin's up. It's it's near all-time highs. MicroStrategy, which just buys Bitcoin with all their assets, right? Why is MicroStrategy like falling into the abyss here? Which we're short. In my Discord,
makes my point. Short. Makes exactly my point. MNAV is getting crushed. That's what's happening.
But
and then now do the same thing. Do the same thing with Ethereum and Bmnr. Same thing.
So with Bmnr, so this is the one that was the IPO that came out recently, and they took it to the moon, and now it's trying to find itself again. And now ETH is the tail, you're saying? So
no, ETH is the dog. Bmnr is the tail.
Okay. So to me, I don't really care which part of the animal it is. Here's what I see.
What I'm saying, if this doesn't move, Bmnr is not going to move. You can do all the lines on Bmnr. If this doesn't break out and go higher, Bmnr is going to follow this price.
Okay, and I can agree with that. And what I do see in this chart, just by looking at it before I start drawing lines, is total bullishness. Total bullishness. Getting ready to break out soon.
I agree.
Definitely.
I agree.
So would you say that this is a version of 3 years ago of the Bitcoin miners, that as goes Bitcoin, like Bitcoin's like the tide that lifts the miners, provided that they can show a little proficiency in learning how to mine Bitcoin? Because it was like My Beloved Riot wasn't that good at doing it right initially, and then they got better. Marathon was better at doing it. Clean Spark was really efficient. Iron was clearly a very efficient player in the space, and they've been rewarded accordingly, right? They're the darling of Wall Street now. They took Marathon's place, right, from the last cycle. So is this where Bmnr is showing that they're the most proficient at this game? Because I feel like everybody was real high on SBET, and then Bmnr recently took the pole position, right? And I think that's the Tom Lee effect. And it's also because SBET, according to the comments, SBET's already staking their Ethereum, and apparently they're not getting a premium for that, if you will. So is that going to be a nothing burger for Bmnr if and when they start staking their Ethereum as well?
No, it's going to be a lot, because they get to 5%, right? Which is millions of ETH, and
but they got to keep buying it, right? Because again, the rabbit hole that I just recently went down on Ethereum, it's I don't know what the word was, deflationary, or there's more Ethereum. It's not like 21 million, right? Like
it's not finite. It's not finite.
Yeah, there's burn. Yeah.
There's burn, and then but they could look. I don't know why they're not staking ETH right now on Bmnr, but there are long lines to stake it. By the way, there's exit lines of like 2 weeks when you stake that thing. But my thing is, look, I'm agreeing with Uzi. I think technicals do make a difference and sense to me, right? What it does not make sense is just specifically looking at Bmnr on a technical basis, because without ETH exploding out of this pattern, like ETH could be going sideways for another 6 months here, potentially, right? Is Bmnr by itself going to break out and go to 80 while ETH is going sideways? No, it's not. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I can agree with that totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So then the one to watch is ETH, maybe ETH. But if you wanted, TJ, let's say, to build your position in Bmnr, you could. Again, being not the guy that knows, I'm not the smartest guy at all when it comes to this. I don't know what's better for. I'd have to look at the options and how they're priced. But you got to go where the money is. As long as the options are all the same, you can go with whatever costs less or has a lower implied volatility if you're going to be buying. If you're going to be a seller of options to make your money, then you want to go where the IV is higher so you can get more premium. But let me just go, if I could.
Yeah, but sentiment's a real thing, man. And I think that Bmnr and Tom Lee, they have all the positive sentiment. You have Peter Thiel, that's a major stakeholder. You have lover or hater. You have Kathy Wood, right? They have a huge position in Bmnr. So you have a lot of key players. And we gotta also talk about, like, you know, you have people like Sergio that have a wealth of knowledge. I have some knowledge. Uzi's got a wealth of knowledge. Jesse's got a wealth of knowledge. So we all have like our own little system that we utilize to buy a stock, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
But then there's other people that don't use that information. They're just like, oh, this guy's buying it. I need to be part of it. And what part of the market is that, though? You know what I mean? So you got to look at, you got to just be realistic. Like, not everybody's doing their due diligence. People are just buying this shit because Tom Lee said so, or Peter Thiel's in it and all that stuff.
Right.
They're not looking at a fucking chart. They're like, hey, Amit said this shit's going to 100 because Tom Lee was in his channel a couple of times, and Ethereum's going to 10,000, and go fight win. And people, I don't think they overthink it, is what I'm saying.
No,
and I think that Sergio, maybe right now you're fighting paralysis analysis because of your experience in the market, right? Because you're
I'm involved in all of them. All of them. I'm just saying, dude, look, TJ, thank you for having me, but I'm just kind of not understanding that technical analysis is great. I do it every day on regular stuff, but technical analysis on Bmnr is not going to work by itself. It needs Ethereum to go up, period. So if this is a bullish pattern, I agree, it's a massively bullish pattern. This should break out, and Bmnr should be at 80 by the time this is 6,000.
I can agree with that comment. I can agree with that, because if Bmnr cannot move unless ETH moves, then that is a prerequisite for anything to do with Bmnr. Agreed.
Yeah.
But looking at this chart, guys, this is, I mean, let me show it out for you. There's just there's bullishness everywhere. I'll start with the easiest one. And for you guys that don't understand, I heard someone say, maybe is that you, Jesse, you don't understand technicals? They're not really that hard, but just look, check this out, right? So initially what we've got is
I'm trying. It's my weak point.
Don't try too hard. That's the problem. If you try too hard, you won't let it won't come in. Just picture this. We have an up move here, right? And then we have, it stops and it starts to do what's called a consolidation. And while it's consolidating within two confines. And I'm going to say, disregard this right here, because this was just a blip on the map. Don't know what, but the reason was it's irrelevant, because it closed down and got right back above shortly thereafter. So that's a non-event. That's a shakeout, if you ask me. Okay. So it's back within these confines. What this is called is a bull flag, meaning it's got a bullish move up, and then it's a flag. It's what's called a flagging motion. If you just picture a flag hanging on a pole, here's the pole, here's the flag. This is totally bullish, because you've got the move up and you've got an orderly pullback of people selling out, but buyers stepping in, selling out, stepping in. Sooner or later, this is going to break one way or the other. And typically, because it is in a bullish trend up, it tends to break out to the upside. So we've got, number one, we've got a bull flag. Then number two, which is one of my favorites, is the cup and handle. Let me just make this a little bit thicker. Hang on. Sorry. Excuse me. 1 second. Here we go.
But you can just see it. I mean, just visually.
Yeah,
so
boom.
The comment about, so if Ethereum goes down though, and then Bmnr and SBET can buy more, isn't that bullish too? Because then they can acquire even more faster. So that's the other discussion point.
Not necessarily. Okay, I'll answer that question.
Well,
so
I see Jesse's logic. I definitely would like to get Sergio's take on that.
Yeah. Okay. So there is also
what he's saying is they can buy the dip, right? That's
right. They can buy more for cheaper. What do you mean?
Not necessarily. I agree with this pattern. I think it's very bullish. If it breaks out, I think we have another leg coming up to 6,000. I agree.
Okay.
Now, the probability is that on looking at this. Now, there's also a possibility that it breaks down.
Yep.
ETH goes to 3,500 or it goes to 3,000. Is there a possibility of that? Of course there is. Isn't there?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So at that time, I think MNAV is going to be the most important issue when it comes to all these DATs, the digital asset treasury companies, because MNAV is definitely going to get crushed on all of these companies. That's why I'm already looking at the ones that are already at a discount, because if something, instead of a breakout, a breakdown happens. For example, if ETH goes to 3,000, Bmnr is going to be a $25 stock. It doesn't matter how much he's buying. At the moment, he's buying 200,000 ETH here every single day. He's doing ATM and buying ETH. Why isn't the price going up? Every single day, Michael Saylor, or every weekend almost, Michael Saylor is buying BTC. Why isn't BTC going up? Somebody's supplying ETH to these people.
So who are they buying it from?
Yeah, okay. So my thing is, there's always the downside. Consider that. However, again, technically, looking at ETH, it's very bullish. It looks very bullish on a breakout. Bmnr should follow to the upside as well. But consider the downside. Again, buyer beware. Understand what's going on. That's all I'm saying. And buying ETH cheaper is not going to be almost a possibility, because when MNAV is below 1, see, at the moment, 1.5 MNAV, he can dilute at a premium and buy ETH every single day.
Have more cash,
right?
to buy
Because he can ATM it at a premium. But when you're under 1 MNAV, and the history on all these DATs has been that the Wall Street is playing this game. Hedgies are buying ETH and shorting Bmnr. They have been doing it on MSTR for the last year and a half. When MSTR's MNAV was 2.2, they started shorting MSTR and buying BTC. That's what the game is here. When Wall Street, I mean, the big money is playing that game. Big money is not looking at charts. Big money is betting that the MNAV is going to get crushed. My starting point is I want to start with MNAV as low as possible, in case ETH breaks down. In case. There's a possibility of that.
Sure.
And buyer beware. That's all I'm saying. But again, I hope it breaks out, because I'm positioned for the breakout myself.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit, guys. I'm gonna put my position, our position back on here.
Yeah.
And I want to play. Everybody put on their TJ the Wheel Deal cap. All of a sudden, TJ the Wheel Deal just got better looking. so I want all of y'all to pretend that you're TJ the Wheel Deal, the chat included. I'm going to put the position on there, and then tell me what moves you would look to make if your goal was to make $1 million. I didn't preface this though. By the end of the year. So looking at everything, looking at the resources that are available, what do you think that there's $1 million bill to be had there? So I'm going to add this back to this stage. I think I got to remove Uzi real quickly. Let me add this back to the stage. Let me know if the position's back on there.
Yep.
Can you guys see?
Yeah.
So here we go. We got 30,000 shares. Let me get this back over here and put it on none. On symbol, I guess, because that's a lot of trades. Okay, so we got 30,000 shares. We got the cover calls at 70, which I think those are, who knows? This thing could go to 40, it could go to 80. It seems like real quickly based on whatever news is going on with Ethereum. And then I think I have the shares for sale. It's like I have 10,000 shares, but I feel like we really don't, because it's just a matter of time before I don't have those shares anymore, unless I'm willing to give back at the moment $68,000 in premium, which I'm not, or I get fortunate enough and Bmnr sideways for another week or two. I extract some of the extrinsic value out of this thing, and then maybe I would consider giving back 30,000 of those dollars, because that would still be a winning trade in that aspect, and I'd still have the net 30,000 shares. So what would you do? Let's take it from the top, Sergio, with your wealth, and then let's take a look at the context. There's plenty of cash there. You guys can read that. Yep. There's plenty of cash available in the account. There's no shares owned. These are the only shares owned. The only other long position is Riot. I've got 250 leaps on Riot running the poor man cover call strategy, I'd say pretty damn successfully. And that is it. Everything else is a naked short strangle. And I'm in a position, with the exception of Amazon, Google, and Apple, to where I could cover any of these at any time if things got dicey. So I don't have to roll into infinity. I'll just cover, turn it into a covered strangle, lower the strike price on the calls, get the damn shares out of there, and get back into cash. So that's the game plan in a nutshell. So there's plenty of money to acquire more shares if that's the plan. There's plenty of money to sell more puts, to do spreads, whatever the case may be. Sergio, just eyeballing it with your wealth of experience, how would you approach it if with the goal in mind, was to make $1 million? Right now we're only at 135,000, so I'd say we got work to do.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, for everybody watching, there is a 2x ETF of BMNR. It's BMNU. So you guys know. So if you guys really bullish on BMNR, BMNU is your game. And I don't know if they have options on BMNU yet, but if they do, I'm sure astronomical. And the price is 34.15 as of the close today. So how would I do it?
This is BMNU right
I'm
here.
going
Wait,
to
TJ,
take
what's the time frame? What's the time frame to make this $1 million?
I like to do it by the end of the year. And so how did I get there? Because
3 months away.
hear me out.
That I asked, man.
Hear me out.
Well, buy BMNU, and then breakout happens, and then there you go.
My price target was for BMNR to get to $80 by the end of the year. In a perfect world, 100. So $80, if you multiply that times 30,000 shares, puts you at about 2.4 million where I went to school. We're in it for about 1.7. And then I figured I could collect the rest in premiums along the way. And that could get me to $1 million if BMNR cooperates and gets to 80 and I don't get stuck in these covered calls. You follow me?
Well, I think if you keep selling cover calls and your target is 80, it's like you're going to have to roll or do something. I mean, I believe in BMNR. I believe in Ethereum. When I have a good racehorse, I don't like to put a 200-pound jockey on it. I'd rather put the lightest jockey on it and let it run. I mean, if it's going to run, buy another 20,000 shares and let it ride to $80. Don't mess around with calls.
The idea here was I could just roll these to, say, November, and I could put it at my price target, which would be 80.
Yeah.
And it still yields some decent premiums, right? So I get paid another 55,000 to wait, because my exit at that would be 80,000. So I get a nice little dividend on the front end. So those are things that I had thought about. But so what you're saying is just maybe add more shares and let those shares run. Don't worry about the cash flow. Just let it do its thing.
No, I mean, look, this thing is going to happen pretty fast, right? If it breaks out here, it's going to go to 6,000 pretty quick. I think Uzi would agree with that. Out of that pattern, technical pattern, if it does break out, that thing is going, next leg is going to be 6,000 pretty quick. And if you do look at their ETH count, BMNR is priced right about 81, 82 at 6,000 without them buying more ETH, but they're buying ETH literally every single day. So buy more shares. And don't mess around with calls, man. I mean, so once in a while you got to stand your ground and commit to something, and then instead of collecting a little premium here. I mean, look, I look at this as sometimes selling cover calls. We a lot of people have history with SoFi and Palantir and selling cover calls. That to me is almost like picking up pennies in front of a bulldozer. I mean, man, you have a good Kentucky bred winning, race winning horse. You let the horse run.
What about doing some debit spreads, and then I could participate in some of that upside that way? That way I could keep the cash flow going.
Yeah, sure. You can do that. The way I did it on SBAT, BMNR, and DFDV is I'm selling aggressive put credit spreads. Okay, aggressive put credit spreads, because the efficiency on those is incredible. The buying power efficiency is amazing. Okay, so let's say if on BMNR you can sell a put credit spread and take that money outside your shares. If you want to leverage it really well, outside your shares, sell put credit spreads, You're not going to spend that much money on doing it, and take that money
What
and
time
turn
frame are
around
you
and buy
thinking?
just
What time
calls
frame
or
are you
call
thinking?
debit spreads.
So what time frame are you thinking about?
Oh, go out to whenever your target is, December or January.
Yes, yeah. So like over here, no. Well, the latest one they have is 50 days out. In this
On
year.
which one, BMNR?
Yeah, yeah, in Bmnr.
Okay, I think they have further out, but let's say go out
No,
as
I'm
far as
saying
you
for
can.
this year because it jumps from November the 28th to January the 16th.
Okay, go to January.
Okay, so 99 days out, and then what would you
That's
sell that?
past the timeline.
I'm sorry.
That's past the timeline.
I know, but
Hey
still.
man, a couple of weeks here and there, we're good.
We'll allow it.
So what? So
So
walk me through it. You would sell which one? Which one would you like to
I would be really aggressive. I'd sell the
Okay.
60 puts, right?
and buy the 55 or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, buy the 55s.
Well,
And
that's still a
then
nice credit. You want to
how much?
walk? Can you walk the audience through that trade? Because some people might not be familiar with the put credit spread.
Okay, so PCS or a put credit spread is you're buying at the money, or you're selling at the money, or in the money, or closer to the money strike put. So a higher strike put you're selling and lower strike put you're buying. Obviously, there's going to be a credit involved in there, and that eliminates your downside. So how much was the credit on this, TJ?
If I got, I could get.
You know where the max loss is on this. Max loss is 5, the difference between 60 and 55.
Right.
Well, you're already taking the $3 in as credit, so your actual loss is going to be only $2. If nothing works out, ETH tanks, BMNR tanks, and also, I mean, you're willing to buy ETH. I mean, you're willing to buy BMNR at 57, which is $3 credit that you're taking, subtracted from 60, which is your upper strike, is 57. So you're willing to buy more BMNR at 57, or you take your loss and get the heck out of Dodge. And then I will take that money and I will go out and buy some calls, call debit spreads, just maybe 1-for-1, or be more aggressive and spend all of that credit on some sort of an upside kicker, like a supercharger, turbocharger kind of a situation.
So what I had thought about doing, because I collected about $100,000 here, give or take, in premiums, Sergio,
Mm-hmm.
and I simply thought about buying $100,000 worth of leaps.
Sure.
And because I feel like I'm buying those with other people's money, right? Like
well, that's unless you get called away, and then now
Right.
you're going to play the rolling game, So I'm like,
no. But I'm saying these leaps would be unencumbered.
Yeah.
I was like really going for it and be like, buy them like out of the money, like really out of the money, like it'd say $90.
Yeah.
And then I could buy, I don't know how much 100,000 would, I don't know how much that would be. I'd be like,
how far do you want to go out on your leaps?
No, it'd be January of 27. So let the thesis play out.
Okay.
But that would cost me 234,000. So I could buy maybe like 40 right now.
Okay.
And then like maintain some exposure to the upside if I did get caught with my hand in the cookie jar and I don't want to roll. Now keep in mind, I have it in my journal that if BMNR hit 62, I would just buy the 10,000 shares, and that's how I got to 30,000 shares.
Yeah.
Right. Like instead of like I'm gonna keep rolling, I'll just buy the damn shares, and I still have my upside. Right.
Yeah.
But then I overdid it, and I was like, well, I'm gonna buy 10,000 more. So that's how so these are like two separate trades in my mind. Because I have the 10,000 shares that are already compromised, even though they're not right now. I feel like they will be, and I have these 20,000 shares at 70 that I'm taking a calculated gamble on, because I do not think for 1 second that BMNR is going to be at $70 next Friday. I'm bullish. I'm not that bullish. Not for next Friday.
Okay. Do we agree that not BMNR, but ETH is going to be, let's say, even if Tom Lee's lowest prediction for next year for ETH is 15,000, let's say, right? Where is BMNR? Where is BMNR going to be if ETH is 15,000?
Man, I'm thinking 150.
It'll be a lot higher than that.
You think so?
A lot higher.
It depends on the MNAV, right? Maybe 200.
Well, take take the ETH count they have, multiply that times 15,000 divided by the shares they have outstanding. It'll be a lot higher. It'll be like 300.
Honestly, I don't think that quick on my feed. Just give me the answer.
It'll be 300 range.
Oh shit. Okay.
So you don't want to limit yourself, bro. I'm telling you. I mean, these selling cover calls and stuff on this kind of thing is like I wouldn't even mess with that stuff.
Yeah, but the reason I feel like I had to do it is because you tie up $1.7 million, and just like everybody's like, oh, it could go to 100, but if this thesis doesn't play out right away and fucking ETH drops 1,000, I feel like this thing would easily go to 40, and I feel like that $100,000 kind of comes in handy at that.
Yeah,
point.
no, I get that.
Only
I
like
get
90,000, but you know what I mean.
I get that, but I mean, look, I'm bullish. Even his estimate is half correct. It goes to 7,500. We're looking at least about 85 to 95 range on Bmnr because they keep buying ETH every day, so it's going to make a difference.
Great.
But all of these are going to go higher if the underlying is going to go higher. There's, it's a pretty no-brainer, really, honestly.
Awesome, Jesse. You got 30,000 shares. You're dancing with the devil. You sold cover calls for next Friday at 70. And the devil already showed you that the fire burns because you're at 62 over a month out or about a month out. And it's already at like 59 and it's been over 62 during that time frame. What are you doing? What are you doing if your objective is to make $1 million because you feel like there's $1 million bill to be had here? How's Jesse playing it?
I mean, like I said, I would just like you guys are doing it. I mean, there's not too many other ways to do it, except for maybe just buying more Bmnr.
So what is it on 17 million? Help me out with so it's already 10% of the portfolio.
Right.
Right. 1.7 is 10%, right? Yeah. It's 10% already. I mean, fuck.
What is your rule of thumb? Like, what is your allocation rule of thumb? Is like 10, 15%?
I don't like to, and I know that these are not good rules of thumb. No, they're not. They're
TV
not.
is bullish.
No, they're not responsible rules of thumb. Let's just. Am I running my financial advice thing? I'm not doing it right. Let me put this on there real quickly. This is not financial advice because I don't. Last thing I ever want, man, as a God-fearing man, is to potentially lead somebody to financial ruin because they go and they do a trade that's comfortable for you, but it wrecks them because their temperament's different, right?
Yep.
Like Sergio already knows me enough to know that I have a crazy risk tolerance. like I have what's called the guts of a burglar, and I think it's from all the years of being broke, all the years of playing poker. There's not a whole lot in life that scares me. But that being said, I am comfortable, and I don't know why I'm comfortable. I just am. I'm comfortable as high as 25% in one position if I really believe. Like if her name's SoFi, at one point Riot was that company for us. Tesla has been that company for us. So if I believe, I'm totally okay at 25%. If I feel like the asymmetric opportunity is there, and I do believe that the floor, in my opinion, again, these are just opinions, I feel like the floor on Bmnr is like around 40, 45, but I feel like the roof or the ceiling in the near to midterm is like 100, 150, and the long term, it could be north of 200 or 300. So I like those risk reward ratios. Like those, in my mind, those make dollars and cents. But again, this is just me. I'm nobody from nowhere. I feel like I am built different. I do a lot of things that are unconventional, but the one thing that I do pretty well is I do know how to make money with my strategy. So Jesse, what would you do besides accumulate more shares? What about on the options? Would you try to go for the cash flow? Because Sergio makes a very cogent point, guys. You're like picking dollars up in front of a bulldozer, right? You're on one of those, the thing, I don't know what it's called, but the thing that rolls the pavement or whatever, like that packs the dirt. You're going in there and you're like, you see that $100 bill and then it squishes you, right?
That's what cover calls are, man. I don't know.
You're stepping over dollars to pick up dollars, right?
I wouldn't limit myself.
Especially with this thing, because if it's going to ignite, then you know the covered
Yeah.
calls. Listen, every time I sell covered calls, I get run over.
Right.
Right.
But
There you go.
it's also,
Right.
but just to keep it in perspective, to not lose the people watching, to keep it in context, we're also talking about an $80,000 bill. So let's just look at it in real estate terms. Sergio lives in an area in California where the houses could be worth about 1.7 million, right? Depending on the house, some more, some less. You're not going to go get, call it over 30 days. You're not going to go collect $80,000 in rent. The caveat is you can go rent a house, collect the premium, and you don't have to put the house up for sale. Here, that's the caveat, is because we always use this real estate analogy that I feel like I coined. Owning shares is like owning a piece of real estate. You're going to go collect your rent via cover call premiums, but it comes with a really steep caveat. You got to put your house up for sale, right? You got to put your shares up for sale, so you got to put the ceiling on it. You got to cap your gains. You know, obviously you can roll and do all these other things, but the actual contract says that you're contractually obligated to deliver these shares at this price on this date. So would you pick up the $80,000 bill in front of that bulldozer, right? Essentially is what we're talking about. Because 80,000 is 80,000.
TJ, you have so much upside in this position, right? I think low delta, way out of the money calls. Don't take 80,000, take 10,000 a month, but allow this thing to do its thing. Okay. Because I've known you for a while now. I know why you guys went.
I'm gonna be real pissed off if I fucking sell these shares at 70 and this motherfucker goes to 200 and I have 30,000.
And you know what?
Like,
and you know what? You will.
Like, I'm gonna be like this on the channel. I'm gonna be like this on the channel.
Yeah. Well, you will do that because what happened? Okay, what happened on Palantir?
Oh, fucking Palantir. I'm still getting my money, but got $500,000. That motherfucker still owes me 750.
Well, what happened on SoFi? What happened on Hood? What happened on these things?
No,
right? All I'm saying to you is this looks like one of those situations. Okay, looks like it. There's no guarantees. Okay, no guarantee. But I would let it go. I would let it run. Let it be free. I mean, it's once in a while. Look, you know as well as I do. Most of your trades, you can make money here, there. But once, most bulk of your gains is going to be maybe in 2 stocks out of 30 that you trade a year because you let the winner go. You let it go. Let it do its thing. And to me, that's where a lot of people just, they overtrade and they think this, they think that. I'm like, look, I have a good horse here. Let me just run this horse, man.
Like I said, just buy more.
Yeah.
Let it run. I mean, you can sell puts too, and if it's going to run, and you have some cash, sell some puts, and you're going to get some cash from that.
So the reason I did not choose to sell puts is because when you have portfolio margin, it's not regulation T, right? So they don't. You have what is it, like 6-1 or almost 8-1, Sergio?
Right.
On portfolio margin, but the thing is there's different capital requirements based on the underlying. And the capital requirements on Bmnr are not that favorable. And when you sell a put, the only money you're qualified for is the premium. So if I'm going to tie up that kind of capital, I'd rather own the fucking shares, and at least I'm qualified.
That's why you do a PCS, TJ. Look at your requirement real closely on a 60/55 PCS on Bmnr. You will be shocked how low it is. You will be shocked. And $3 is good premium for something and then you can keep rolling those and you can keep collecting money. And you'll be shocked how low the requirement is going to be on a 60/55 PCS.
Yeah. So we talked about selling the 60, buying the 55. We stood on one contract, so it's totally relatable. So guys, you're talking about the buying power effect is only negative $192, and you bring in $307 in credit. I
mean, that's pretty low.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's all I'm doing. I'm selling PCS, aggressive PCS, almost in the money on the short side, taking that money. I don't want to get paid to play. And I'm aggressively buying call debit spreads up there. Now, what does that do? Look, I want ETH to go up. I want Bmnr to go up. But then, could it go down? Of course it could go down. Is there a 10, 20, 30% chance ETH goes down 3,000? And Bmnr gets cut in half? I'm like, sure, there is a chance. I don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But my thing is, I want to limit my downside and I want to literally give me all the upside for a certain time frame, right? And those are the only trades I'm putting on, because to me, it's like it's if you sell that PCS for that little amount of money and collect the money and go buy a call debit spread, way out of the money call debit spread, you're not going to spend all of it. Maybe do 2 to 1. Maybe spend some money out of pocket. All I'm doing is, define downside, because there is a downside. Potentially, there's a downside. And if it doesn't happen, I'm collecting the money, and my calls are going to print directionally. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to think too much about it.
I love it. Uzi, because I did have a hard stop in 90 minutes. So let's wrap this up, and then we'll conclude, and we'll pick up the conversation. I'm gonna take everything that you guys have said so far to heart, and then I'll tell y'all what my what I'm gonna do to add to the position. Like, I'd already put this on my journal and on the whiteboard. So based on everything y'all are telling me, I'll make some adjustments to that. Uzi, real quickly, in a couple of minutes, if you could, if this is your position, just reiterate, it's 30,000 shares, about a 57.5 average. And I got the calls. I'm dancing with the devil for next Friday at 70. I feel pretty good about those. And I don't feel great at all about the ones at 62, November the 7th.
Well, here's the thing. If you're trying to do this by January, it is going to take, a little bit.
Don't get me wrong. If it doesn't happen until the following January, I'm not angry, right? But it's just a goal. I put together you have to have a goal.
No, ideally you'd do this with leaps, but I priced a trade out for you if you were the biggest gambler in the world and wanted to do this, and it really was going to break out and get to 80 or 100.
Okay,
it's going to involve some buying power, but you've got that, and the profits get you to $1 million in January if it hits.
I don't know if my eyes are crossed or what, but it looks blurry to me. Is that just me, guys?
It should look okay. It looks okay to me.
I don't have my glasses on though, so I'm not a good. Don't believe what I'm saying right now. I did not have my glasses on because I just was too lazy to go get them. Okay, I can kind of see it now. I feel like my eyes have adjusted.
Okay, so what I did is I went out to January 2026, and like Sergio, I built you a put credit spread.
Okay.
And I'll tell you where I priced it from. So I have you selling a 43 put, buying a 33 put. It's a 10 wide, and I'll tell you why. 43 put gets you right below the most recent swing down here. Okay, so even if it falls below this swing low here, and this next area should support it, it's at the lower Bmnr band. So we're going to be selling that put. We're going to be buying
for what day, Uzi? For what day?
January of 2026.
Okay, because I'm doing it here. So sell the 43, buy the 33, correct?
Yep.
So now you're not paying as much for the insurance.
Correct. And we're selling this put. We're selling it down at 43. So if price falls below 43, what's going to happen? You're going to potentially get assigned, right? But what I would say to you to do,
which is great.
Yeah, but you're going to be averaging down to 43. But here's the kicker. I would want you to sell, because if price does break 43, it's probably going to go down here and get to 33 and test it. You'll be able to sell the 33 put for profit, right? Which will further lower your cost basis. Okay.
So you're saying close the long put.
I would say close if it gets to that. You don't want it to get to that, because if that happens, your 33, your long side, which we didn't get to yet, which is you're going to be buying a 33 call, and that's because that's a 90 delta. So that's going to get you net. Look over here. The deltas. Let me go to my analyze tab. I don't know if you guys have this on Tasty, but here's an analyze tab. This will tell you all the metrics. Watch. This is going to get you a delta of. Let me hide this. A delta of. Is it 25,000? Yeah, a huge amount of delta. You're going to have a huge amount of delta by selling. I got you selling 250 of each, because this is 25,000. This would represent 25,000 shares of each, right?
Right.
But it gets you a almost a near 100 delta if you were doing it just for 100. Let's just say you're going to have 25,000 deltas, meaning it's the equivalent of having shares in the stock, even though you don't have any shares, right? And you're protected to the downside. But look what happens. If price gets to $90, you're going to make nearly $1 million. Here's your million. If it gets to 80, you're going to make about $500,000. and that's all profit.
And this is, so I feel like I'm missing one leg of it. So I get the put credit spread, right? To sell the 33.
Are you buying the 33 calls?
And then you're buying the 33 call, which is deep, deep in the money, 90 delta.
Okay.
But when you add when you add up all the deltas, even though you're selling a puts credit spread,
I feel like you just went abracadabra, zebra, jade lizard on me here for a second. Let's
this is called. This is actually this has a name. It's called a risk reversal, and it's done by the biggest hedge fund. If a hedge fund or somebody big knows what's going to happen, and they know something's going up, they're selling all the premium they can to pay for their long, because they know they don't have to worry about the short side. So if you really, really, really in your heart of hearts feel that this is going to work.
So let's do this, Susie. I got the platform back on here, right?
Now listen, I don't do it to the, we don't trade large in my Discord, but this is the type of trade we do all the time.
Okay. I had already done this. Like, well, is it on here? Is it on here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had already sold the when you sell the bar shows up in red. So I'd already sold 500 puts at 43, and then I went 10 wide, and I bought the 33 puts.
Get out of here! So you did the same trade?
No. I'm saying I was penciling it in as you were talking.
Oh, okay,
right?
Go ahead. Okay.
And then now you're saying buy the 33 calls, correct?
Yeah, because that's a 90 delta. That's going to move almost a dollar for dollar. It's going to move 90%.
So this would obviously be a net debit. Let me see.
It's a net debit. It is.
So it's saying no. It's still. I feel like I'm doing something wrong because this is giving me a net credit.
So, it won't be a credit. It'll be a massive debit.
You got to sell that 43 put and buy the 33 call. Buy the 33 put and then buy the 33 call.
Let me, I'm looking at it, right? So it's right here. Let's see, let's clear the order. And let's do it again. So we're talking about January. So 99 days from now.
Yep.
So we're going to start by selling a 43 put and buying buying a protective put.
Yep.
That is a put credit spread. And then we're talking about buying an in the money call.
Essentially.
I mean, at the moment you're 25 in the money.
Yeah,
right.
you're huge at the moment.
So that's the debit. So let's just look at the capital efficiency though. So I'm spending 2,500.
So not to interrupt you, the good news about this is you're only paying 285 on extrinsic value. You're not getting robbed and ripped off by paying a lot of extrinsic value. You're basically buying in the money in interest. You're paying all intrinsic value, which means you're getting something for what you're buying.
Okay, so I invest a shitload, right? 648 grand, and so walk me through it. Give me the gimmies, the gotchas, the everything. Like, let me see if I can even make this bigger so we can see more of the trade. There we go.
Well, the gotcha it's blatant. If it doesn't work, your 33 long side that you bought it.
Right. So essentially what you need in a nutshell, let me just make sure we're all cheering for the same team here, right? Yep. So essentially you really need this thing to stay above 43, but really you need it to go north so that these leaps, or not even leaps, these short dated or medium dated calls print for you.
Yes. This is right. This is a definite bet that this is going to work.
Right. This is 33 plus 29. What is that? That's 43, 53, 60. Well, shit, it only needs to go up like $4 or $5 for you to
start making money. Right.
Yes.
Right. You don't have to make it. It doesn't have to. Right. Because you don't have to. You're basically at the money profitable, but it just has to go up for you. If it goes down, the 33 long calls will lose all of their value. The good
news right here. This shows you right here, guys.
Yep. There it is. You're going to make money from day one if it goes up. There's no lag. There's no like wait, 5 points before you start making money or 10 points. You're right there at the money. But if it goes down, you can see it starts to, get red.
Real quick.
That's
And
why I
so
would do this trade, but I would do it.
So how high does it have to go to make the million in this scenario?
In this scenario, the million comes in at about 95 to $100.
Gotcha.
And if from what I'm hearing, that's doable, right? $100.
Yeah. So then I guess my question now becomes, because we're talking about net output of cash outlay of, call it 700 grand, right? So if I just look at the actual shares here, could it just be easier to say buy another 10,000 or 20,000 shares? What does that look like?
Yeah, look, let's compare the cost. The cost probably more like 50,000.
Yeah, this is 1.2. I'm saying that takes the entire position to 50,000, right?
Okay.
And then you only needed to go up. Well, I guess it'd be about it now. Like, so let's see what's 50,000, and then let's just say it goes to 80.
What's your cost basis?
That would be 4 million, right? That would be 4 million.
No, I mean, what's your cost basis? 59 or 60, let's say,
57,
right?
53.
Okay, but let's say you buy more, you average it at 60, it goes to 80, 50,000 shares is your $1 million.
Right.
Right. But see, how much would it cost you to buy those shares? See what the cost is to buy those that many shares, 20,000 shares?
We just did it. It was like 1.188 or something.
Oh, okay. So you're going to spend double the money. Yeah, more outlay, but you've got.
But you don't need. So listen, I want to have this conversation only so that people could understand the gimmies and the gotchas.
Right.
Whenever you take ownership of the shares, you don't need it to happen within a certain time frame.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the biggest gotcha. Am I missing something here, Sergio?
No, you're not. I
mean, look, whenever you buy a call, you need a certain amount of price action within a certain amount of time. So you have a lot of forces coming at you, if that makes sense.
You have to be right on the double D's, direction and duration.
The data is not your friend, right? You're not collecting data.
Yeah, but in this one, you don't have that much data decay because you're buying deep in the monies anyway.
Right.
So,
Correct.
but in options, you have to have two D's lined up, direction and duration. Otherwise, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
But look, I think, if we all agree on this, we're all bullish on ETH, and consequently, we're all bullish on Bmnr.
Yes.
And you already have 30,000 shares. I'm urging you not to dick around with cover calls.
And dude,
I'm urging you not to collect 80. I'm urging you to go past the pass. Don't collect 80,000, 70,000. Collect 10,000, but collect it at the 100 level.
So Sergio is the only person that's going to come on here and tell me, don't fuck with that 80,000, kid. There's $1 million out there.
I wouldn't, because that's again that you put in I don't know 57. You put in $1.6 million, okay, and you're capping yourself at 62. Tomorrow afternoon or over the weekend, 3-day weekend, ETH opens at 5,500. Both your calls are in the money. Now you're scrambling. Yeah. All I'm saying to you is, if you are committed and if you do believe, do you believe? If you believe,
I do.
You go, okay, collect 10,000 a month instead of 80, and go to 100 strike every month. Collect 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents.
So what I've learned here, I think, is the play here is not covered call premium. If I need to bring some premium through the door, the most capital efficient way for me to do that is probably to run some put credit spreads.
Yep, that's all I'm doing. I'm doing
and then my shares are fucking free to run.
Well, covered triangles, TJ. You could do covered triangles. You have the buying power.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta sell the puts, but it's
not real capital efficient because of the underlying, dude.
I think considering the downside. Okay, Uzi, what is the downside? Do you think, looking at that chart? Is there a potential downside?
I think it does, only because I think they're going to try to shake the trees. So everybody and their brother knows they're following Tom Lee. Now, how can they get in on this on the cheap? When I say they, I mean whoever these market makers are or whoever they work for. You can bet your bippy, let's just say, that Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan or Barclays or some bank somewhere in the world doesn't have enough and they want to get in, and they want to get it cheaper than the next guy. How? By causing some type of price disturbance and getting it down. I don't want to get into this whole, theory of underhanded stuff, but it happens. So if someone comes out with something negative, some news bites, all kind of craziness, and if you look at that chart again on ETH, we had that 2-day blip where it broke the 50-day moving average. There was a gap down. It looked like, oh my God, this thing is going to start falling, and then it caught itself. But that's an area where, or that was to say, a scenario where that's when you can get it on the cheap. And I wouldn't doubt that they will do something else like this before it does make its next run. So I would say be on the lookout and be ready to get in on an ugly looking type of day or some type of negative news that affects the stock, the share price.
So this is the trade that I had penciled in to do probably tomorrow before this discussion. This is why I wanted to have Wheelers tonight. I appreciate you guys joining in, guys, because you have no idea how much you guys help me. Everybody talks about how much I give on the channel from my time and my knowledge and stuff, but guys, I get a lot out of this channel as well. So I just want you to know that it's a two-way street here. It's not just me giving to you guys, all the comments, even the shitty ones, the people that got nothing better to do, even you guys contribute. Like I get a lot out of you guys, the knowledge, the time, the acumen, just the know-how. The know-how is so critical. And above all of that, the relationships that we build on this channel are pretty damn spectacular, that I could go to a state on the other side of the country and there's 4, 5, 6, 10 people that want to meet up real quickly, and they receive you with open arms. It's pretty awesome. But the trade that I had entertained Sergio and Uzi and Jesse was to stay on my cover call path because I'm already on it, and I didn't want to give back. Like, in other words, I wanted to be okay dancing with the devil, especially on the 70s, because I feel like those are okay. Or if I see that it's going to go against me, I just give back 20, 30 grand, free up to 20,000 shares. Like I'm comfortable with that. I'm not real comfortable giving back 68,000 to free up the 10,000 shares. But I had thought about just selling 500 puts way out of the money for January, which is a little bit outside of the timeline, but I'm okay with it. And at $40, and it still picks up $217,000. And you couple that with the $100,000 that I've already got riding in the cover call premium. You add that to the 135 or so that I'm already up. I mean, we're already sniffing $500,000 there. And then if it goes up and I'm able to get capital appreciation to say 70, we might be kind of close. That was the trade
I think you're making a mistake by capping yourself or putting a goal or a target at the end of the year. I want to make $1 million. This is, I think, going to be a sequential story. I think this story just starting, especially if Tom Lee is correct that all of Wall Street is going to be on ETH network doing all their transactions. I think the story is just starting. And I think this is like Palantir at 15.
Nice.
As opposed to messing around with it. Let me pick up these dollars. I want to collect some premium. And then you're 20 in the money. Now you have to go out 6-8 months out just to roll because you're so deep in the money, your cover calls. Now you got to go out 6-8 months. Now you're just kicking the can down the road, collect just to be able to collect or do it with an even money. My theory, my belief, in 30 years I'm doing this, once in a while, you got to commit. You got to like what you're doing. As long as you understand it, the downside, right, you let the horse go. You do not mess around with calls. You do not mess around. If your theory is based on fact, you structure a trade around that theory, the correct trade, and then you let it go and enjoy. Because a lot of folks try to get in their own way. They have the right idea. But then they go, let me just collect some premium here. Let me just collect some premium there. Markets don't work like that. The way markets work is if you're going to do one trade a year and it's going to be your biggest winner, let it be. That's my thing. Now, people may agree, may disagree.
So speaking
I think this is the trade that you should just let it be.
So speaking of biggest winners, my biggest winner for the year is not surprisingly SoFi.
Yep, let it be.
So I have 4,000 short strangles that expire in 22 days, and that's going to free up my capital requirement here of 754,000. There's still 768,000 of meat on the bone. I'm going after $500,000 of it. All I need is for SoFi to hang out between 2650 and 37. And I feel very confident that that's going to happen. I'm not going to go get at all of it because there's this thing called CVAR. Sergio could probably speak on it more, but it's essentially conditional value at risk. The closer you get to expiration, the higher your capital requirement, because
how much you can lose. Yeah, but
because,
I mean, look,
because your broker gets nervous, right? Because this is a huge ass position. Essentially, like, just to keep it in layman's terms for you guys, but conditional value at risk is a very important metric. It's kind of like a VAMA. It's a secondary metric or tertiary metric, but it's a metric nonetheless. And if you ever wonder why your buying power, your buying power shrinks as you get closer to expiration, is because these algorithms that are managing the portfolio margin for you, your risk management monitors, they're just like looking at worst case scenarios. If SoFi has a fucking 20% move towards the end, what's that going to do to the account? Because what's the notional, right? 2650 times 400,000, that's a shitload, right? So it looks at all those things. So it's like, I'd really prefer this dude would just get like another $200,000 or $300,000 and get out of this trade. That's what the broker would prefer. But I'm in a situation where I know I'm winning this trade, so I'm going for it. Same thing on Palantir. It chills out between 160 and 200. I got another $313,000 bill because this bitch owes me money, and I've already made 425,000. This puts me close to 700,000, and it rights some of those wrongs that Sergio is talking about, leaving a lot of money on the table on covered calls. But the reason I'm mentioning these trades right here is because in 22 days, or really call it 14 days, I'm going to be out of all of these trades, with the exception of Riot, because Riots are leaps. So that's going to free up a lot of capital. So I am in a position to make this 20,000 shares, and maybe I can do cover calls on half of those shares for cash flow, because I'm like wired to want to do that. And I could just let the other half run, because I do think that this horse is going to be like Secretariat.
I mean, I don't know if they have options or BMNU, by the way, which is the 2x ETF, right?
Yes.
If they have it,
Tesla Group is the one that told me about this one.
BMNU, I don't know if they do have options, but look, if you want to accelerate the process, there's always that 2x ETF, right? Look, there's many ways of doing it. Obviously, with BMNU 2x ETF, and the price is about 35, so if Bmnr is going to move 20%, that's going to move 40%. So you can get there quicker. I mean, look, there's many ways of doing it. You just got to do what fits you.
There's just not a lot of open interest on these, unless I'm just not seeing it on the 43 days.
Well, what price are you looking at?
20.
I think BMNU just started maybe like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't see. I would be the market. Like, I'm like over here trying to do 1,000 contracts. They're not going to be 1,000. I mean,
no, you're not going to do 1,000. But I mean, look, you can always look. I'm just saying, if you're bullish on something, play it all the way through, as opposed to just, again, there's no guarantees. We don't know. Every indication, every probability that you analyze looks like it should do what we all think it's going to do.
Agreed.
It may have a little hiccup here and there, but long term, the viability of this of Tom Lee's thesis will either be proven to be correct or incorrect.
Right.
He's not collecting Ethereum to stake it and get you a 3% yield, because that's what the yield is on ETH. If you stake it, 3.5 maybe. It'll be a nice dividend that he's going to kick out for you guys for owning Bmnr. But his plan, his talk is all about everything being on the network, Wall Street getting disrupted, and he's comparing it to the gold standard one. We went off the gold standard in 1971. Synthetic dollars started to getting created. Dollars out of thin air, just like we do today. And he's looking at it as the same type of revolution that could take place. Look, you either make sense of it or believe it, or you don't. If you do believe it, his Ethereum price makes sense.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
I mean, it's like this may be a once in a lifetime kind of a thing. You just got to allow it to happen. Don't dick around with cover calls and this or that or this. Once in a while, just buy it and hold it. Just like these people who all bought Open Door at 80 cents and then holding it and looking for $82 a share.
Yeah.
You know, they're all posting their accounts, Robinhood accounts on X. They'll go, look at me, I got $2 million in my account now, and this and that.
Yeah.
Once in a while, don't complicate it. Just believe in and step on it. And again, it's only 10% of your portfolio, bro. It's not
I
like
was one of those idiots that
80%.
had 100,000 shares of Open Door in like the $2 range, and I didn't. I stopped believing. But anyway, we don't need to talk about that right now.
No.
I just want to real quick. I want to take a moment, and we want to take our caps off for all the people that have lost money with Enphase. I'm going to put my cap back on because I'm not one of those people.
I don't even know what that is.
Solars are waking up.
Enphase year to date 298,000 and counting.
Is that the solar stock or something?
Yeah, that's solar play that Donald Trump doesn't believe in global warming, but I believe in Enphase.
Solar has gone up 40% this year so far.
Yeah, it just it's one of those stocks that was an absolute pain in my ass when I first got into it in the $140 range, and I worked it for about a year and lost like 100, and then we got it back and then some.
About Celsius. Celsius was an amazing story, right? Goes from 100 to 20.
Why said it's time to go, guys? I want to appreciate all of you guys. There's 3,300 people that clicked the link on X. 141 people rocking with me live. But G Money says it's time to go and hang out with Mama and his brother Duke. Appreciate you guys. We'll do this again. Hopefully, in 2 or 3 weeks, we have more information, and we're going to stay on this theme to see what I was able to do with all the knowledge that you guys imparted. I appreciate you, Jesse, joining in. I appreciate you, Uzi, for the technical analysis and how you played that trade. Sergio, always appreciate you coming on the channel and stuff. And like I said, I'm not going to be going live for the public unless we're doing like a Wheelers or something like that, because I made a commitment to try to finish this damn book. It is one of the biggest regrets of my life to ever say that I was even going to do the book. Like that is, I did not know that it was going to turn into such a pain in my ass. But here we are. We're almost there. I appreciate it. I got to get rocking and rolling. TJ the Wheel Deal signing off. As always, may your sky stay blue, stock screen. Peace out.
Be good. Nice talking with you guys.